Good evening, everyone. I'm going to talk about currency. As you might know, currency is basically the monthly trend of everything. Let's say, for example, as what Aya said. Aya said that Abu Hashima and Yasmin Sabri were married and the media was going crazy about it. Okay, that's a nice trend. Let's talk about the real trend here, the one that made a difference. The coronavirus. Usually in trends on social media, people make a lot of memes. What are memes? Memes are what help trend the trend. The coronavirus has lasted for months now, keeping us in our homes for 2 months right now. I don't know how much longer we're gonna stay, but the point is, everybody's making memes about coronavirus, whether it's offending or not offending. But that does mean that is currency, because they're basically talking about the coronavirus, and they've been talking about it for months now. They haven't been talking about it for only 1 month. So basically, currency is talking about a trend that goes on for like a month and then just goes away, just like any other trend. But right now, we're facing a really big trend, and we don't know when it's gonna end, but it's breaking a record.
Now I'm going to talk about the love story of Ahmed Awashima, the Egyptian businessman, and the Egyptian actress Yasmin Sabri. Their marriage and their love story was a way for everyone to talk about, and her marriage ring as well. So this article contains two newsworthiness element, which is entertainment, as they are public figures and they are one day they were a trend with their love story. And they, as well as their marriage day, their clothes, their Yasmin Sabri wedding dress, the place where they did their wedding. So they were a trend for this reason. Prominence, it's important as they are public figures, so they have many fans. All people wants to know about them and their love story, and to know about their fashion dress, and their and Ahmed Bashima suit, as he's a popular Egyptian businessman. So that's why it's prominence and entertainment newsworthiness element.
So my article is about Kim Jong's absence. He is North Korea president, and North Korea's silence keep rumors churning. My article is from the New York Times Journal, and this newsworthiness elements is prominence and conflict. Prominence mainly talks about well-known people like politicians, celebrities, actors, musicians, and athletes, and their life. And conflict is adding some excitement to make a story up. So basically, the mysterious thing about Kim Jong's absence is that North Korea is still sending letters and gifts to foreign leaders and domestic workers in the name of its leader. While that happened, when some people believe Kim Jong is already dead, or his missing is meaning like something else, while other people believe already Kim is dead or in grave danger or after a heart surgery, and some people believe he's already dead but in a brain dead way, and the government announced he fell out and his ankles is turned up, so that leaves us in a mystery way without knowing the truth.
As the coronavirus is constituting a huge part of the media, I thought fetching an article about it would be interesting. So first of all, this article talks about how one of Amazon's facilities is dealing and handling this disastrous outbreak, which turns out to be very careless methods, and they're not applying the proper precautions to protect the employees working for Amazon's facilities. And so due to this, and due to also having positive coronavirus cases being confirmed in the facilities, one of the supervisors at one of the facilities named Charles Smalls has protested by organizing a walkout And so he was fired the next day from organizing this walkout. This incident has been disseminated across the country, and employees from other facilities across the country have also organized similar walkouts. So the newsworthiness elements applied here is, first of all, the human interest, which is the most prominent. So the human interest is because it talks about how the company deals with this pandemic, which turns out to be very careless method of dealing with it, and they're not taking the proper precautions, and they don't care about their employees' well-being. And it also stirs our emotion because because of firing the employee and the employees that supported the supervisor, Charles Smalls, and firing Charles Smalls himself. And so this got us frustrated and annoyed when we heard about this. And finally, regarding this element, it has also been talking about a pandemic that is affecting everyone worldwide when we heard about this. And finally, regarding this element, it has also been talking about a pandemic that is affecting everyone worldwide, from the very youngest to the very oldest. And so it talks about how if not proper precautions were taken, how this is going to negatively impact everyone's health and well-being, and may ultimately lead to their death. And so this leads me to the next element, which is the impact and broad appeal, and how when reading this article, so the question that this element tackles is what does this story, how does the story impact the readers, and how many number of people does it impact? It impacts almost everyone worldwide, and it's relevant to everyone in the current conditions, and especially people in working for Amazon, because if one case is tested positive in one of the facilities, then it would affect everyone else working in this environment, in this setting. And I'm pretty sure that it's not just in this facility. Maybe there are other cases that were not tested for in other facilities that are positive for coronavirus, but they do not know. And so this affects and impacts everyone. And finally, the last one is the bizarre and unexpectedness information. So I did not personally expect Amazon to be adopting such careless methods when dealing with such severe pandemic. I thought that it would spend much more money into caring about its employees and about the occupational settings.
So my article is about how is the coronavirus outbreak affecting your life. It's from New York Times, and its newsworthiness element is the impact, which means that people won't know how a story is going to affect them, and what consequences will be suffered if they don't take an action on this issue, and how can they improve their lives, and how many people will the event impact. So as mentioned in the article, the coronavirus has changed how we work, play and learn. Schools are closing, sports leagues have been cancelled, and many people have been asked to work from home. They mention in the article that on March 16, the Trump administration released new guidelines to slow the spread of the coronavirus, including closing schools and avoiding groups of more than 10 people, and bars and restaurants and food courts. The outbreak of coronavirus disease has created a global health crisis that has a deep impact on the way we perceive our world and our everyday lives.